AITA for ruining my daughter's graduation? 4 years later, update. I am not the original poster. That is you, grad throwaway 23. She posted in r, am I the asshole? Mood spoiler. Some growth. Less than. Original post. May 16, 2019. My daughter and I have been estranged for about 5 years now and have recently reconnected and are working on, slowly, repairing our relationship. As part of this, she's been airing out various grievances she's been holding against me all these years, as she doesn't think holding onto them is conducive to a healthy relationship. A lot of these things are petty teenage grievances I can't believe she hasn't let go of yet. But one of them stuck out to me. I mentioned it to my husband and he expressed disbelief and disappointment in me for my actions at the time. I maintain that I didn't do anything wrong, but his reaction has me curious. Her email to me about the situation. My graduation was another thing. I don't know if you remember, but you refused to let Gran come even though I told you how much I wanted to her there because of how she'd supported me throughout uni. When I told you I invited her, you said you wouldn't come if she was there, so I had to disinvite her by lying about there being a limit on tickets per person. As if that wasn't bad enough, you and Daddy refused to sit with each other, take pictures with me, or even go out for a celebratory meal afterwards. I have one picture from my graduation. One. And it wasn't even the professional one. It was just one my friend took on her phone of me. I don't think you and Dad dealt with your split very well at all in regards to your children, but it really hurt me that you, the both of you, would be so selfish about that. I just wanted one afternoon. For background, I am estranged from my own mother and have split up with her father. She says it was selfish of me not to allow my mother to attend her graduation or to spend extra time with her father. But I think it was selfish of her to ask that of me. It's bad enough that she continues to keep in contact with her grandmother when I asked her not to. Anyway, I want to know if I really was the asshole here. ETA. Same day. Though I disagree that my feelings weren't even worthy of consideration in this situation. Would it not have been best if asked me for compromise? For example, I would attend the graduation and she could have a celebratory meal with her father and grandmother separately afterwards? But I can see here that the overwhelming consensus is that, in this instance, I was the asshole to my daughter. Fine. I'll apologize again. Relevant comments. OOP's defense. Should a child not respect their mother's wishes about who they should or shouldn't talk to? I've asked my children many times not to keep in contact with my mother and they still disobey me. I don't think it's surprising that I wouldn't want to be seated with her. You need to apologize and actually mean it. I did apologize, but I don't see how I was the asshole in this situation. If anything, we were both as bad as each other. People suggest her daughter needs to look at the Raised by Narcissists subreddit. Ha! That's a word my daughter keeps throwing about. I'm not a narcissist, if anything she is. Now I'm really curious what the other grievances are. Petty stuff you would expect someone to grow up and move on about once they became an adult. OOP is universally voted YTA. Update post. October 11, 2023. 4 years and 5 months later. Hi. It's been a while and I'm not sure if anyone would even care at this point, but I accidentally logged into my throwaway on an old laptop and remembered this. Quite frankly, I'm really embarrassed and ashamed to reread my original post. My attitude was terrible, and it's one of those moments I wish I could go back in time and shake some sense into my past self. As many people in the comments predicted, I no longer have a relationship of any kind with my daughter or two of my other kids. COVID and lockdowns did a number on our family. I'll just say that. I've been doing a lot of reflecting and therapy over the last year, and I realize I've not been the kind of mother my children have needed in their lives. I have no contact with my daughter now, who has married and moved abroad now, and from her wishes, this will not be changing anytime soon. I also have very little contact with two of my other children. My relationship with my final child is strained, and I am doing everything I can not to break it. After having logged into this account again and seeing that post, I find myself desperately wishing to go back in time, and maybe I could have stopped the breaking of my family if I'd behaved differently here. I don't really know what I want to say here. Maybe just hopefully encourage one person who has been deemed the asshole to reflect sooner rather than later, and maybe their lives won't go the same way as mine. ETA. I'm going to log out of this account again now. Maybe I'll pop in again in another 4 years with better news. Thank you for the comments and advice I've received. And to those who think I'm beyond redemption, I truly hope you're wrong. Relevant comments. What happened with the other kids? My son is a COVID denier, and we clashed during the height of lockdown on the best way to go about things, and our relationship has not recovered since. Similarly to my eldest daughter, my daughter has been struggling with issues from her childhood. My fault, and being forced in one home during lockdown exacerbated her feelings, and she is now taking time to put some space between us until she's ready to decide how and if she wants to move forward. I have respected this. When I say my relationship with my youngest is strained, I mean in the sense that she very clearly feels conflicted about staying loyal to me versus her siblings, as she still lives at home. I see the fallout of this personal conflict and see how it strains our relationship, and I'm doing my best not make her think she has to pick sides, while also trying to improve the quality of our relationship. As I don't have contact with her siblings, I don't know if they also feel like their relationship with my youngest is strained. OOP's own mother. My mother and I have begun to repair our relationship over the last 3 years. What are you doing differently with your approach to your kids still in contact? I'm only in full contact with my youngest currently, but to answer your question, listening to her and respecting her space and boundaries. That's breaking it down to its simplest form. But essentially that's what I've been working on with my therapist, and from conversations with my children, is the crux of the issue they have with me. Who could have predicted that respecting space and boundaries was the real solution all along? You shouldn't need the Oracle of Delphi to tell you that. Edit. Change to read, all along, not all around. I'm pessimistic that she can, yet hopeful that she will. Boy, do I feel for the eldest daughter though. It doesn't sound like she got much support from either parent at that time. I wonder what, if anything, OOP has done to try and atone for the harm she caused. Not often do I see posts where people realizes they are in the wrong and did some reflection to change themselves. Based on the description, it sounded like OP and the daughter's relationship was really pretty rough. Not sure where the future can lead, but I do applaud OP actually admitting their faults. But it does sound like things are a bit too late to fix at this point. I wish the daughter for the best. It was really telling that she refused to list what the petty stuff you would expect someone to grow up and move on about in her original post. Just because she thought those reasons were no big deal doesn't mean they weren't a big deal to the daughter. It's essentially saying her daughter's feelings were no big deal. Insert missing reasons link here. I'm sure you all already have the link. I'm glad she appears to finally starting to understand just how badly she messed up. While it's good OOP finally decided to reflect, too little too late doesn't even begin to describe it. I can only hope she'll stick to her word and leave her kids the hell alone. At least she got rid of a COVID denier type. I hope she can salvage her relationship with her other daughter. We don't know why Oop divorced. Oop is at least trying with the youngest. I wonder if the kids talk to their father. This might sound dismissive, but the COVID denier doesn't seem like that big of a loss. Anybody else look at the date of the first post, 2019 for the uninitiated, and wonder what Op was one about 4 years, only to realize that 2019 was 4 years ago. Well, her attitude in the first post sounds like my mom talking, just my parents aren't divorced. So glad Oop had a come to Jesus moment. Turns out that good parenting involves respecting the autonomy of others. I wish I could comment to the original Op. I hope her daughter is having a wonderful, fulfilling life. Take pictures with me or even go out for a celebratory meal afterwards. I have one picture from my graduation. If I'm reading this right, daughter also decided to go nuclear. I don't understand why she couldn't take one photo with dad and photo with mom unless she wanted all or nothing. I may be stretching, but it seems like daughter is as stubborn or holds a grudge like Oop. Doesn't excuse Oop anyway, but I won't be surprised if she copies her mom's mistakes. That's very humbling to see. From a narc to seeking help to take accountability is the first step to maturity. Too bad Oop didn't do this a lot earlier before she messed up her kids. Finally, I can sleep now. She continues to keep in contact with her grandmother when I asked her not to. This is the bit that angers me, especially as it's apparent to a child. Regardless of the relationship between two people, it should not have an effect on a third person, especially a child. We have a saying in the Caribbean, you don't drink medicine for other people's sickness. If the mom has issues with her mom, it should not have any bearing on the child's relationship with the grandparent, especially when said child has a good relationship with said grandparent. At least she recognized her mistakes, so there's hope. OOP's reasons for the estrangement with her own mother aren't cited. Probably also lack of respecting boundaries. And the cycle rolls along. My biggest hope is OOP's kids are okay and they recognize what is modeled for us doesn't have to be repeated. I do hope Oop understands the difference between remorse and regret, and she finds a way to live a contented life, with or without her kids being in contact. It's completely reasonable to not want to be around someone with whom she's estranged, like her mother. However, Oop is estranged from her mother and wouldn't go to the graduation if she was there, could not get it together, along with her ex. Perhaps. I wonder if their daughter had any contact with him, for even a graduation photo is estranged from all of her other kids. What is the common denominator? Sadly, I think Oop still doesn't get it. It's like she doesn't want to ruin the relationship with the youngest but is trying to keep band-aids on it instead of going to the hospital for surgery. She was the adult 4 years ago and still is to this day. Yet acted like a spoiled narcissistic brat. I couldn't care less for her attempts at improvement. It's like Oop ignored and abandoned her children emotionally, and then when she was left alone acted like a victim of her own actions. Pathetic.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic AITA is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.